any time. I will begin with my opening statement. To determine what the American people value in society, you might start by following the money transferred from the federal government to the public. To this end, the subcommittee is holding this hearing to examine the management of federal grant awards. Since the earliest days of the Republic, the federal government has used grants to advance public policy. From veterans' assistance in the aftermath of the War of 1812 to land grants for railroads after the Civil War, federal grants have been part of our nation's history for a long time. Today, the federal government awards over $700 billion in grants annually. $700 billion. Federal grants finance essential government programs like infrastructure by transferring federal dollars to state and local governments, nonprofits, and individuals. However, different standards and reporting requirements scattered across federal programs impose a high cost. Federal grant managers spend 40% of their time monitoring compliance rather than monitoring results. According to a report by the Data Foundation, grant recipients are also burdened by the complexity of federal grants. Grantees are required to submit duplicative reports and forms to multiple program officers spread across multiple agencies. Congress and the executive branch have made several attempts to improve grant management and transparency. In 2014, Congress passed the Data Act. The Data Act was intended to standardize federal spending data, improve accuracy and usability of the data, make federal spending data accessible to the public online. Section 5 of the Data Act created a pilot program to explore standardizing recipient reporting to reduce burdens on awardees and improve the usability of the reported data. Section 5 pilot wrapped up last year. The final report offered 3 recommendations: continue to standardize data, leverage technology, leverage technology to reduce compliance burdens by auto-populating forms with previously provided data, and leverage open standards to rapidly develop new tools. My colleagues, Dr. Virginia Foxx from North Carolina and Congressman Jimmy Gomez from California, agreed with these recommendations. They introduced bipartisan legislation, the Grant Reform Efficiency and Agreements Transparency Act, or the GREAT Act, to codify the pilot report's recommendations. The GREAT Act would require HHS and OMB to create data standards for grant recipient reporting and require federal grant-making agencies to use those standards. The President's management agenda also calls for an integrated, data-centric strategy to standardize grant reporting and reduce compliance burdens. In addition to reducing waste and burdens from unnecessary compliance exercises, modernizing grant data will improve accountability at grant-making agencies. Annually, the federal government loses track of millions of dollars due to a failure to review and reconcile grantee reports in a timely manner. In 2016, the GAO found nearly $1 billion in expired grants with undisbursed balances in over 8,000 accounts contained in the HH Payment Management System. To address this problem, Congress passed the Grants Oversight New Efficiency Act, or GON Act. Among other things, the GON Act required agencies to report to Congress explaining delays in closing out certain grant awards that were past their performance end date. The first report was sent to the committee in May. According to the report, one of the primary explanations for delayed closeout in expired grants cited by federal agencies was disconnected IT systems for managing grants and for paying grants. Without a modern technological framework, we cannot expect agencies will improve their ability to track the administration of federal grant awards. It is my hope that this Congress can continue to help in this effort with continued oversight of the grant-making process. Fortunately, we have with us today a panel that can speak to the role Congress can play in reforming and modernizing the grant management process. I thank the witnesses for being here. I now